In this video, we're going to be using Wickham. This is the old super smooth formula. This is Club Cola, excellent stuff. And for the first time, the Henson aluminum safety razor. Stay tuned. Hey there folks, and welcome back for another video. I'm your host CDB. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And as I often mention, if you have not subscribed, I hope you'll consider subscribing below. And another thing I want to start mentioning, because I get so many questions about where you get products. Look below the video in the description and I'll link everything that's available for you. And so if you're interested in anything that's available, look in the links because I get so many questions. Where do you get this? Where do you get that? I try to put it all below and it takes a fair amount of time. So just check that section out if you please. Okay, so today we're going to use Wickham. This is Club Cola. Now the new iteration of Wickham is the 1912 formula. This is old. This is, I don't know, probably at least 5 years old. The super smooth, and it's in a very big, large, you can see it relative to my head there, round container. And I wish soaps still had these big, let me show you. There's a lot of area there to load, and it's very thin and flat. And this is 160 grams, really nice. Then later came this stuff. This is also Club Cola, which is just a fantastic fragrance. That's why I own both. Initially, they started out in this, and then came this. I really like this, but I don't know if these containers were sustainable in terms of supply. But I really like these large containers, especially if you were someone who loaded off the puck. This would be delightful and stackable as all get out. So anyway, we'll use this today. I'll give you the price and the ingredients as of the soaps you can buy today, not this old one. The current version comes to you $19.50 for 4.93 ounces. And on our cost chart right there, it is a good price. The notes on this, bergamot, neroli, vanilla. We'll show them to you real quick right there. This is a bright, effervescent type of scent. I absolutely love it. Another soap that smells kind of like it is Central Texas Hill Country Dew. Absolutely phenomenal. Some of the ingredients in here, we'll show you right there. Cocoa butter, jojoba, glycerin. Again, I'm giving you the ingredients of the soaps of this style that are available today, not this old one. Just keep that in mind. Okay, we're also going to use, courtesy of Marion the Barbarian, the Henson aluminum razor, which you see here. It's a very good looking razor. It is aluminum and it's lightweight. The knurling on it is actually not bad. It's got a good design and it feels semi-grippy to me, and I have never used this razor. Today we're going to use a feather blade with it for the first time. I have heard that this one is mild, and this is the mild version. Let me give you some of the costs. This one comes to you for $49.99, the aluminum version, and it ships free to North America. And it's got a really interesting head. It sort of reminds me of the old mongoose razors, if you remember those, the single edge razors. So let's unscrew it. And there is your threading and top cap, and let's lay our blade in here and see how the feather blade fits in those posts. And it fits very, very nicely. And there's some indentations on the base plate for those posts to lock that blade in very nicely. And there we go. We are loaded up. It's a good looking razor, to be sure. And I've never used it. This is my first time, so we'll look forward to that. Not much in the way of blade exposure there at all. So we will expect this to be quite mild. In the aluminum, they have mild and medium. They don't have an aggressive version. The aggressive version is only available in titanium, which is $249. And to be honest, I don't really like that. I would like to see an aggressive version in the aluminum, which would be affordable and make it more accessible, because a lot of people just aren't going to spend $249 on a razor. And so I would love to see them offer the aggressive plate in the aluminum. So Henson, if you're watching, get on that because a lot of people are just not going to spend $250, but they want that efficiency that the aggressive might bring. I don't know. Some people have called it like a shaver tax. Like if you're maybe an advanced shaver, you can't get the aggressive unless you spend $249. And am I going to spend $249? No. But I would probably like it, but I'm not going to spend it. And so there you have it. Anyway, we got the Wickhams loaded up in the Captain's Choice copper bowl. This is the West Coast Shaving Honeycomb synthetic brush, which we will use today. This was given to me by Oy Vey from New York City. And by the way, Oive is recovering from the Rona. He is a paramedic, and he sadly got the Rona, and he just messaged me the other day saying he was recovering and doing okay. So we wish Oive all the best, of course. And be careful, folks. In his line of work, you know, it would be very tough to avoid. Although he did avoid it for quite some time, but best wishes to our buddy Oive from New York, Alexander. Well, let's set that aside. Man, terrific scent on the soap. And let's see how it goes today. Now, I do know some people have recommended loosening the head on this razor. I'm not going to do that because I want to shave as the manufacturer has intended, and it's tightened down. And also, I don't like to do things that could result, oh wow, I almost feel no blade. If someone new comes along and they loosen up that cap and they loosen it up too much, and somehow that razor becomes, or it gets cattywampus in some way, that could create for a very bad shaving experience. So if you're advanced, maybe you can try loosening that cap, but I like to use the razor the way it was designed, and I don't believe Henson has advertised to loosen that cap, and so I'm not going to for this shave. Very little in the way of blade feel, which I expected. This is the mild version. So we're not going to expect it to be crazy efficient. You don't feel much blade, you feel just a little bit. So this is going to feel very mild, but the question is, how does it shave? All right, so it can feel mild, and if it shaves well, that is okay with me. I think it's going to be one of those razors that I'm naturally going to do a lot of buffing with, just because, you know, I'm not going to feel it being as efficient perhaps as I would like. The angle on this, I'm noticing there's sort of the way it's feeling to me. There's like a sweet spot at which it's cutting, but if you rotate it maybe too much, maybe it doesn't cut as well. That's what I'm feeling. But honestly, it feels mild, but it's not quite as mild as I expected. I'm still getting some blade feel, and I think it's cutting well. I think it's cutting well, but again, we'll continue on and see how it goes. Very mild though, no question. And this might be a great razor for someone who's maybe just starting out, or maybe they just like a mild shaver in general. Feels nice. From the perspective of the first pass, that felt pretty good. So I really don't have any complaints after that first pass. Felt mild, but to me, I think it did a fairly good job. But again, we'll sort of see after we complete our passes. And one of the things that I intended to do today, which I did not do, was use both hands. Because if you're a straight razor shaver, you're accustomed to using both hands. And what I intend to do, but I always forget, is when I'm using a safety razor, to sort of switch hands. And I just forget to do it. But it's a great way to develop dexterity. So even when you're doing your safety razor shaves, switch hands. And I just forgot to do it. So apologies. I'll try to remember on this pass. But you're so used to doing things the way you do it, you just forget. The Wickham here is just magnificent scent. And again, this soap is probably a good 5 years old. Still has its scent, so that container is held up well. And I think a lot of people would really like a container like this, but they don't sell it in that container anymore. Okay, so we're going to go across and use our right hand for the left side here, like we would with a straight razor. Tell you what, you sure don't feel much blade. So for those of you who just want to feel a lot of blade, you're probably not going to get it. Again, maybe you're one of those people who wants to loosen the head. And again, I'm not going to do it on my first shave because I want to get the experience that the manufacturer intends. And so I typically use the blades that come with a razor, although since Marion sent me this one, I don't know if it came with any blades at all. So I'm using, you know, just a feather because I knew it was a mild razor. And while I don't think a feather makes a mild razor more aggressive, it might potentially cut a little more effectively because they are rumored to be a sharper blade, but it's not going to make it more aggressive. Actually, that doesn't feel too bad. Now we're going to use our left hand and come across here, and that feels awkward because I'm not accustomed to using my left hand with safety razors, but I'm doing it because I want to continue building dexterity with my left hand. And so it's a good way to do it, I feel, whether you're using a straight razor or a safety razor. And I find that getting on the upward and across passes, reaching across body just feels nice to me. It's a little different with a safety razor than a straight razor because of the way you hold it, but I can definitely feel the razor cutting. It is definitely not the most efficient of razors, but we'll see after our third pass what it feels like. Definitely mild, no question about that. Let's just hit that spot right there. All right, so 2 passes. Neck always has some stuff left over, but cheeks feel okay. So I'd say it's done a pretty decent job overall. Again, I'd love to see an aggressive plate in aluminum. I don't know why they don't have it. Maybe it's more difficult to make. I don't know, but again, Henson, if you're watching, there's plenty of people out there who will never ever spend $250 on a razor. And quite frankly, no one probably ever needs to spend that much, all right? Because you can find many options of efficient razors that don't cost that much money. It is titanium, so that is much harder metal to machine and so on and so forth. But there's some people who will just never, ever spend that, but they might be interested in your aggressive plate. So again, we would love to see you come out with an affordable, more aggressive plate for the aluminum razor. And if you agree with that, if you own a Henson, if you're interested in the more aggressive plate, please drop a comment below. I certainly would like to see that. I don't know that I've ever seen this before where the most aggressive offering isn't available in their standard offering. I don't get that, but there might be some reason that I'm not aware of. But it just, I don't know, seems odd to me. But the razors, I'd say it's pretty nice. It does, again, it certainly does not feel ultra efficient, and it shouldn't. It's the mild plate. But I would say that if you're having to loosen the head on a razor that isn't designed to be loosened, there are razors that are designed for that purpose, like the PAA Ascension twist. It's designed for you to loosen and do that. But this one, I don't believe the manufacturer calls for that. So if the manufacturer doesn't call for it in this first go, I'm not going to do that. And again, I'm not going to recommend to people that they do, because in doing so, if the thing loosened up too much, or somebody who's not accustomed to using razors and doesn't detect it's a little loose, they could cut themselves. You know, if the thing's coming loose and getting uneven or falling apart on you. We don't want anybody to get injured, so I'm not going to make that recommendation myself. Although if you're an advanced shaver, you know, or you're very comfortable doing those sort of things, then please do whatever makes you happy. But my fix for an efficient razor is to get an efficient razor. You know, not to try to retrofit one to make it more efficient, or do something that perhaps it wasn't designed to do in order to make it more efficient. So I say just get an efficient razor, or get the medium plate. I'm quite certain that I would prefer this razor in the medium or aggressive plate, because you're not feeling much there on the blade. And my angle is just not very good with my left hand there, so I'm going to switch just to get that. And maybe it's more efficient than I thought, because I'm just not hearing much cutting there. So maybe we've gotten most of it already, which would be great. But to me, I think this razor has a cutting angle that's fairly narrow, or at least that's what I'm thinking. Or perhaps maybe it's because there's so little blade feel that I'm just not feeling it. But it seems like when you hit that sweet spot, you can feel the blade a little bit, but otherwise you don't. And so it's hard for me to really tell sometimes, especially using my left hand here. But that feels pretty good. Overall, I would say, I'm going to use my right just to clean up here a little bit. I'd say overall, this razor feels better than I expected it to, because I expect it to be like Feather ASD2 mild, which I don't. That razor is so mild for me that I don't really enjoy it. Although it is great build, looks great. It's just not a razor that I enjoy at this stage. This one I would say is quite mild, but actually it did a pretty decent job. So it doesn't feel like it's doing a great job, but I think it did. But let me rinse, we'll come back, get into the post, and we'll sort of feel around and see how we did. And maybe it did a much better job than I think. Stay tuned. All right, and we're back with the Magic Made by Witches, and this is Thayer's Witch Hazel Cucumber without alcohol. And we'll just finish the shave up with this. And honestly, I haven't really felt too much on my face yet, but we'll feel. I think that was a pretty decent shave. Was it enjoyable in the way that if I were using, say, the Timeless or RazoRock Lupo or Game Changer or something like that? No, because you just, sometimes I didn't know that I was cutting very well, but the shave came out okay. I could use a little touching up on the neck, but overall, DFS shave, darn fine shave. And I would say it did better than I thought it was doing. I think that's the problem with this razor is, for me at least, on the basis of very limited experience, one run. Sometimes I didn't know if I was doing much in the way of cutting, but the shave did come out okay. I used the PAA alum block with the dry dock, and there was almost no stinging. So it was a very effective, mild shave. And I would say better than expected. I do want to see that aggressive plate in aluminum though. So Henson, if you're listening, come on, let's get into that. The Super Smooth was absolutely phenomenal. Great scent. This is one of my favorite scents of all time. And here's another tub that I've never opened because this company went out of business for a while some years back. And I went ahead and bought this one before they went out, which is also Club Cola. Tremendous scent, tremendous soap. Still holds up very well. Of course, we use the West Coast Shaving Synthetic brush. Honeycomb, sent to me by Oive. God bless you, Oive. I'm glad you're recovering. And thanks to Marion the Barbarian for sending this feather blade in here. We're going to finish it off today with another Marion the Barbarian joint. This is West Coast Shaving Pear-Brrr Shoppe, which I absolutely love. It's a barbershop with the pear, and there's some cooling in here, and it's just fantastic. I love the scent of this. And I think Marion told me the soap in this, you had some burning from, but I absolutely love it. Oh, man. I'm going to go for another round because that's just phenomenal. Again, I will link the products below if you're interested. Oh, man. And if you want a completely different, bright barbershop, this is phenomenal. Still available at West Coast Shaving. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate it. I've been your host, CDB, and I'm reminding you, it's your shave, do it your way. And as always, God bless.